Today, the problem statement we'll talk about is if I'm going to explore any new service in AWS, uh, do I end up paying additional cost for it? And what is free and what is paid? And even if it is paid, how can I control within my limit? Let's say I want to explore paid service like SageMaker or the service which doesn't comes under the free tier, but still how can I do it in a safeguarded zone so that we don't end up paying high when we explore new AWS services? Why we are doing this is act as a bottleneck for many experienced professionals, because if someone wants a new beginner, they would restrict their circle within free service like S3, EC2 or stuff like that. But who really want to explore further, they hesitate to go doing the labs part. And even if they take paid memberships like Cloud Guru or Code Cloud or any other third-party providers which provides AWS lab, still you get limited access or you won't get permissions to control IAM services, because obviously they want to secure their account. So only way to do end-to-end real-time with our own personal account. The first thing any beginner or anyone who is trying to use AWS should be aware shared responsibility model. You as a customer, what you own or what you're responsible for, and as a cloud provider, what they have the responsibility of it. And one of the things they talk about is the cost part, and how security design and architecture lies within you. So you need to decide, is that comes within your budget which you're going to use, and are you happy with it providing further of choosing service A versus service B that's going to provide you the architectural resilience or the budget part. Controllability lies within you as the customer. Everyone should aware about it when they start proceeding with the using any of the AWS services. So next thing is there are few services which are available for free to a certain extent. To know, you can search for AWS free tier. So for first 1 year you get certain services free, and if you go for it, you can see here what are the free trials available and how much capacity or how much it's going to use. You can use it for under the free tier. So for example, you see like for EC2 750 hours of instance capability is free until like what kind of resources, everything is like being given. Try to check here, does it falls under the free tier or not. So there can be a few services which are not listed on the free tier and which are also free as well. Like for example, IAM policies or security groups, it's not going to cost you. So now if we talk about how can I forecast what's going to be my billing, AWS have something called as cost calculator, the perfect tooling for you when you want to like do a POC and keep the applications running for like X days. Then you can see there's an already a tooling available by the AWS to create an estimate for you, because the costing is going to vary from service to service. And even of a same service, let's EC2, they might be charge you X amount in a region like Ohio and a different cost in a region like Oregon. So the cost also varies from service to service. So when you're doing a POC, you need to ensure that if the service is not listed in the free tier, if you're coming here and you're not, it's not listed under the free tier, but still you want to explore further. So for example, the SageMaker, they're just giving it for 2 months of free trial, right? And if you want to continue further exploring the SageMaker after the 2 months, it should not stop you from exploring further just for the reason that it's no more part of the free tier. So if you go here, you can search for SageMaker and you click configure, and as I said, you can choose a region, like which region you want to explore, and you can see like what are the services you are going to explore under the SageMaker. And in AWS, each and every component, it's going to be chargeable. So for example, if you take a load balancer, the incoming traffic and the data which is going out of your network also being charged. And same way, like for creating a EC2 instance to host a website, that's going to be a separate cost. And the elastic IP that is mapped to the EC2 instance, it's going to be a separate charge. So each and every component would have a charge for it. So always try to look at your architectural diagram wider, and then ensure that you go and look for the cost for each and every service you would look for. So for example, let's say you give the input the values, it's more straightforward, and you're going to give the input for each thing, and it's going to give you the overall cost at the downside part. And also you can see like the overall split up as well, and you can keep recursively doing it. So for example, I added one of the cost, and then if I want to, let's say I'm going to do for like S3 buckets, and I can still go there and configure the services And now, as I said, for each and everything, it's going to cost you. So if you talk about S3 for simplicity, it's not about how much data you're going to store. It's also about how much data you're going to upload, how much data you're going to update, how much data you're going to delete or fetch the details from there. So each and everything, it's going to be cost you when you are coming out of the zone of free tier. And in real world, obviously your production can't run in the free tier. So when you are targeting for roles like architectural role or team lead role, where you are there to propose a solution to the end users, it's not just about proposing the solution like, okay, this is what AWS is recommending, but as an end user, you should also cross check if your company is having this budgeting to provide or proceed further, and can you do any cost cutting over here by sacrificing any forms of performance or uh, reliability as what your application demands. So that plays a huge factor before even you start with exploring any service that doesn't part of the free tier. It's okay to spend to learn a new service on my own behalf, even though that specific service doesn't falls under the free tier, because this is one act as a stopping point for people to explore further or deep dive into it, worrying what if something goes wrong, and what if the pricing goes too high, and people tend to uh, stuck here within the service, which are like, the 12 months free thing. There can be cases human calculation to go wrong, right? So in this case, like, I might not be adding an EBS map to, let's say, a server, because when we go with server, it's going to cost for, even for elastic IP, the server compute time, and then the storage that is mounted to the EBS. So it's totally completely okay for a beginner to miss the part, because you might not be knowing it's something is you are covering 100% of when you calculate, or are you missing XYZ component of it. But now you have the overall rough estimate. So you're going to pay only $7.41. Let's say you set your mind for it, and then you want to ensure you're not going to spend more than this $7.41 from your packet. So how can you ensure you're not crossing it, or how can you ensure even if you cross it, you act proactively and get your billing under control? One time thing, let's say in worst case, you are not taking any proactive approach, or you are not doing anything, you can still have the luxury to drop an email to AWS customer service stating that you tried doing this XYZ POC and you are not aware about this XYZ component, and as an one-time exception, could you please ignore the billing part? And they would be happy to do it in most of the scenarios where it is genuine. But we can't repeat the same process of asking the customer care each time when we miss, or if you miss one time, you might not be confident enough to proceed further from the second time to explore any one of the service which is not under the free tier, but I am still planning to go, but I want to ensure that my budget should be within $7.41 per month. Since it's related to the billing, you should be having access for the root user, or you should be having the billing permissions with you. Okay, so root user. And if I go for billing, this is my overall billing where I can get the visibility of it. And one thing you should know here is you also have something like Cost Explorer, where you can go deep into it and see where your actual cost is coming from, and per monthly how much you are going to pay, and everything you would come, and also like per service wise you get categorized, so you get the visibility, like in case if you are getting billed, from where the actual billing is come from, and you can choose based on the tagging. So that's one of the best practices, like if you want to see precisely which application is using your service or what purpose you are doing it, when we tag it, you're going to get the clear visibility, like where actually the culprit is causing the spike in the billing part. So this can give you an overall view. You also have something called as budgets, and you can create a budget, and you can say how much budget you are going to allocate for your purpose. So if you are going to say like, I'm not ready to pay even a single penny, and everything should be from the free tier account, then you can go with zero spend budget. In my case, I'm ready to spend $7.42. Let me round it off to $8, and I can say, okay, I'm totally happy to pay till $8, and my email ID is this. And you can see what are the budgets that are scope. So it's see like all AWS services are in scope in this budget, and you'll be notified when your actual spend reaches 85%. So it's going to notify you 85%, and also it will notify you again when your actual spend reaches 100%. So when it's going to reach $8, it's going to get reach there. And also if your forecasted spend is expected to reach 100%. So totally 3 scenarios are going to get notified. So when your actual spend, so you're crossing the actual one, it's going to reach 85%. You're going to use notified via an email configure. In another case, like if you're already reaching it, if you missed it, then also you're used to get notified. The forecast spend is something like it see your spending rate. Let's say your website is getting a traffic of like 100 users per day, or I'm saying like 100 million users per day, for example. And then if the same trend continues, let's say for first 3 days, your spend is going to be, let's say, uh, I'm coming with a dummy number, let's say like $1, and for obviously the next 5 days, if you calculate the cumulative amount would be like $2. That's the forecast of it. $2 is being charged, but the AWS is forecasting for you like for first 5 days, the $1 of traffic is hit. So we are expecting by month end, it would expect like XYZ amount based on the current traffic trend. Then you can ask the question like, can I act proactively to do some changes to my architecture, either to reduce the billing part. Let's say you are going for like S3 multi-region standard, and might be you want to, due to the one, you might be changed to the one tier part or something architectural decision, you want to take a decision. Then you still have the time before it actually reaches the 100%. So now if I go and create a budget, it's going to, the budget is created, and there are like memes like how you got poor because I ran the EC2 instance up and running and didn't notice. But there is already functionality available within the AWS, which you can confidently go. You can forecast your billing, what you have in mind, and then keep you in the safe zone, even if you want to explore the paid service that doesn't covers under the free tier part. So I thought of sharing this so that you guys can proceed further confidently on exploring any new service that's introduced and stay up to date in the trend of the cloud world. Yeah, so that's what today's major topic. Any doubts so far?